In this video, I'm going to go over the top 5 mistakes sellers make when they're trying to sell their home. I'm going to go over tips and strategies to get your home sold in Colorado in 2026. Let's get started. So the number one mistake that I see sellers make the most is overpricing their home. I have so many sellers that come up with a strategy that they're going to put their house on the market for a lot more than what it's worth. And their rationale is they can always negotiate down. That is one of the worst mistakes you can make as a seller, and I'll tell you why. During that first 2-week period that your home is on the market, that is the time where you are going to get the most you can for your house. That is the time period where it's new, it's fresh on the market. The buyers are going to come and they don't really know how much competition there's going to be because it's kind of a feeling out process. So in that first couple weeks, buyers are nervous. If they like the home, they don't want to miss out and they're going to make their stronger offer. Now, fast forward to where your house is sat for 3, 4, 5 months. Do you think the buyers are going to have that same nervousness about what they should offer? Suddenly that discussion goes way differently in what can we get by with offering them that they're willing to take, because now they know your home is sat on the market. So one of the number one enemies to getting the most out of your house is time on market. So the strategy of pricing super high and coming down, all it's going to do is reduce the amount of competition. And once that competition is reduced, so is your price. So the number 2 mistake that I see people make the most is assuming that buyers have imaginations and they'll overlook certain things. So I hear all the time, well, let's just give them credit towards that. That's fine. But what you're not understanding is people lack their imagination and the ability to think, well, I could change that out later, so I don't mind it looking like this. People want to come in and look at the shiny, sparkly thing. They want it to look the best that it possibly can, and their minds typically don't go beyond that. When you start going into the strategy of, I just don't want to fix it and they can fix it later, you start creeping in more towards attracting investors. And then when investors get involved, the price of your home goes down significantly because they know they've got to make a certain amount of repairs in order to make a profit. So when it comes to repairs that you can actually afford to make, like new carpet, new paint, cosmetic items that make the home show tremendously better than the competition, if you have the means to do it, you are going to get far more for your house by just doing it instead of just offering a credit to the sellers. Don't assume these buyers have imaginations that they can look past certain things. Also, you got to realize that when they're shopping from the couch on their computer, they're looking for nice things. They're not looking for things that they have to spend time and money to upgrade. Very few people think along those lines that they can invest in the carpet themselves. They want to move in and forget about it. So do as much prep work as you can to get the most out of your house. So mistake number 3 that I see a lot is poor quality photos. Now, this lies more on the real estate agent than the seller, but as the seller, you should not put up with this. I can't count the number of times where I've seen a home for $600,000, $700,000, even $1 million, where the agent comes in and uses their cell phone to take photography and uploads that to the MLS. It is horrendous. When you see this happen, you should immediately question that agent and their marketing abilities. Homes sell from people searching the night before on their couches, flipping through photos, and they want to see premium, nice quality photos that attract them to the house. Now, there's no need to go overboard and make it look like a home that it isn't actually in reality. So you don't want to go too crazy with photoshopping or editing to make it look like a completely different home than what it is. But it is important to get the right lighting, the right angles, and that is what gets people through the door to actually look at your home. So when you see poor quality photos, do not settle for that. Again, people are sitting on their couch the night before, a couple nights before, while they're watching TV, and they're just flipping through photos, just constantly flipping through photos, and whatever is nice catches their eye. The garbage goes to the side and they never think about it again. So don't be the photo that somebody skips. You may have a gorgeous house, but if it doesn't show right in photos, people will click off of it and they'll never look at it again. So number 4 mistake that I see most commonly made is being too emotional about your house. Now, I know it's hard to say that, and I'm not trying to be insensitive, but you have to remember when buyers are coming into your home, they have no emotional attachment to it. I've seen time and time again where somebody has a chandelier that's, purchased with this story by their great uncle, or they have a bird feeder that was carved by their grandpa, which should mean the home is valued a lot more than what it is. Buyers don't care about all that stuff. What they care about is a fair price and that the upgrades are true upgrades that justify an increase in value. So along those lines, I also see a lot of sellers consider things upgrades that aren't necessarily upgrades. So you want to make sure, like granite countertops, hardwood floors, or premium floors, those are true upgrades that add value. Certain other things, like looking at Zillow saying my neighbor's house sold for $500, but they don't have 3 hose spigots and I do, that's not going to get you any more money. So you really have to be realistic on what is a true upgrade versus something that buyers don't necessarily put value in. You might have something that isn't a true upgrade that buyers like, so they might buy your home before the other home that doesn't have it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your home is worth $10,000 more. It's really important to try to put rational thinking when you're selling your home. When you get too emotional, you make mistakes and it ends up costing you a lot of money. The number 5 mistake I see most commonly made is not choosing the right strategy and or the right real estate agent for the job. So I see a lot of people get into this industry and have not very much experience, or they've been in it a long time and they can claim they've done it for 10 years. But a lot of these people have very little sales and little experience. So you want to make sure that the person you're hiring actually can prove that they've sold a lot of homes. The reason that's important is it's not about just putting up a sign in a lockbox. Anybody can do that. Anybody can have professional photos done and put it online. That's not where the job gets hard. The job gets hard when you're talking about negotiating and when these little bickering matches start over certain items and things like that that can kill a deal, and many times they do. You need somebody that's experienced, that can go in, know what's important, know how to save deals when they're almost getting ready to die. That's where experience comes in a lot and where a lot of agents tend to fail. Also, with newer agents, I see, or inexperienced agents, I see a lot of them afraid of any little bit of controversy or contention in an offer. So at the first little battle, they're ready to lay over because they don't want any confrontation. And unnecessary confrontation is not good, but there's many times where things have to get heated in order to get you the best deals. So we experienced agents know that there's a lot of times where there's back and forth, uncomfortable conversation. Each person is advocating on behalf of their client, but a lot of agents do not like that. So if you have somebody that tends to avoid those situations, that is not necessarily the best role that you want to put them in. Also, I got to add this as a bonus tip. Sometimes I see people get in the first week a couple offers and they mistakenly turn them down thinking, well, if I got that offer in week 1, it's definitely going to only keep getting better. That doesn't necessarily mean that the first couple offers in the first week are the best, but you really need to take those seriously, because I can't count the number of times that I've had sellers turn that down thinking the longer that time goes on, the more the offers are going to go up, when in actuality, it tends to usually go the other way. Remember, at the beginning of this video, we talked about the first couple weeks is when you're going to get the most for your house. So during that period, it's a likelihood that you're actually going to see the best offers you're ever going to see. So take every offer seriously, see how much you can get from it, and don't get emotional about offers. If it's within reason, counter the offer and try to make something work. If you have questions about real estate, if you're thinking about selling, buying, or refining, I'm a local Aurora, Colorado real estate agent and mortgage broker. I service all of the Denver metro area as well as Austin, Texas. I'm always here for questions and always happy to chat. Talk to you soon.